So okay, last time we have discussed about what is the topic? We discussed about the nutrition in plant, and generally where we can find the plants?
Soil.
Yeah, we can find the plants in a soil. Right. With the help of the soil, plant grows. So today we will study about soil. Okay. So generally we can say that soil is one of the most important natural resources. What it is one of the most important natural resources. So why do we say that soil is a natural resources? Why? We say that the soil is a natural resources. Don't shake the head, tell me the answer. Why we say soil is a natural resources? Pause the video. Pause it. Okay, so as you know that soil is a natural resources, right? It is a natural resources and it provides anchorage to the plants and supplies water and nutrients. What do you mean by the anchorage? It means not able to move, right? Do you find the soil that moves here and there?
No, sir.
It doesn't move, right? So generally it provides water, it supplies water and the nutrients to the plant, and it is the home for many organisms. Okay, can you give me one of the creatures that lives in the soil? Or the creatures? Any creatures that live in the soil who depends upon the soil? Creatures, living things. Any living things that depends on soil. Yeah, earthworm. And one more. Snakes. Okay, so with that, soil is essential for agriculture. Okay, without the help of the soil, we cannot grow the crops. And so, to have a better agriculture, to have a better crops cultivations, we need the help of the soil. Agriculture that provides us food, clothing, and also it provides us shelter. Not only for us, but also for all the living things. Okay. So thus, earthy fragments. Okay, what is earthy fragments? It's a kind of a saturated, okay, of a soil. After the first rain is always refreshing. So when the first rain falls to the earth, then what happens? It makes very refresh to the soils. Okay. Soil teeming with life. Now let's see how the soil is completely full with life. Okay. One day during the rainy season, Paheli and Bhujo observed an earthworm coming out of the soil. Paheli wondered whether there were other organisms also in the soil. So, like what happened here by Paheli and Bhujo, that they were confused. Not confused, they were shocked and surprised that they saw a living creature that coming out of the soil. And what was that living creature? It was an earthworm. So they have thought whether there is some other creatures that live inside the soil. Okay. So here, first of all, to understand soil, let us look after the structure, the profile of a soil. So we look after the soil profile. Pause the video. Yeah, if you see in a very next page, that is page number 98, you can find the profiles of the soil. Okay. So here, soil is composed of distinct layers. It has a different layers. Now, perform the following activity to find out how these layers are arranged. So there are many activities. Okay, activities means these activities you have to do it, but generally we'll try something. Okay, we'll do it one day. And let's move on. The rotting dead animal in the soil is called humus. Okay, the rotting dead matter in the soil is called humus. And you probably know that the soil is formed by the breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, water and climate. And this process is called weathering. Okay, that means when the rocks are formed, when the soil is formed by the breaking down of the rocks. Okay, it forms by the breakdown of the rocks, and the rocks breaks with the actions of the wind, water and the changes of the climates. Clear? And what this process is called? Weathering. Clear? And the nature of any soil depends upon the rocks from which it has formed and the type of the vegetation that grow in it. A vertical section through different layers of the soil is called the soil profile. So what it is? It has the vertical sections through the different layers. It has different layers of a soil, and that is called a soil profile. And as you can see in the next page, like you can see, it has different layers. Okay, like the A layer is called the A horizon. The second one is called the B horizon. The third is called the C horizon, and the last is called the bedrock. Clear? So these are the profile of what? Of a soil. So now, as you can see, let's think that these are the soils. Okay, the first layer is called your A horizon. Then the second layer is called B horizon. The third layer is called the C horizon. And it is called as the bedrock. So each layer, it has its different texture, it has got different color, different way of depth and its chemical compositions. All the layers of the soils are different. Clear? We usually see the top surface of the soil. So generally we used to see the top part of the soil and not the layers below it. If we look at the sides of a recently dug ditch, we can see the inner layers of the soil too. Such a view enables us to observe the soil profile at that place. Soil profile can also be seen while digging a well or laying the foundations of a building. It is also been seen at the sides of a road on a hill or at the step river bank. So we can see the layers of the soil in different places while we dig the soil and when we used to have a well. Okay, there also we can see the layers of the soil, and also we can see the soil when we used to construct a building. Clear? Because while we construct the building, we used to use the land surface, right? And in that, we used to go through the soil profile. Clear? So the uppermost horizon is generally dark in color and it is rich in humus and minerals. So this part is dark in color. Okay, and it has lots of humus and minerals. The first thing is that the color is dark compared to the any other soil profile. Okay. The humus makes the soil fertile. What does humus do? Humus makes the soil fertile and provides nutrients to growing plants. It provides nutrients, yes, to grow plants. Okay, remember one thing about the topmost layer of the soil, which is called the A horizon. Okay, what it is? First thing is that it is dark in color. Clear? Then it has lots of humus and minerals. Clear? Then it makes soil fertile and provides nutrition to grow the plants. Clear? And generally this layer is soft and porous and can retain more water, and it is called the topsoil or it is called the A horizon. Clear? This can also be called as top soil. Clear? This provides shelter for many living organisms such as worms, rodents, moles, and also the beetles. Okay? It is not only the earthworm that lives in the soil. Along with the worms, we can find the rodents, we can find the moles, we can find the beetles. The roots of small plants are embedded entirely in the topsoil. So the roots of this small plant, they are completely dependent upon the topsoil. Okay. Now the next layer has a lesser amount of humus but more of minerals. Now next is the B horizon. Here it has lesser what? Humus, but it is rich in minerals. Clear? This layer is generally hard and more compact. It is hard. Okay, and what we talk about this? It is soft, thin. Okay. And so it is called B horizon, or we can also call as a middle layer. Is it clear? And the third layer is the C horizon, which is made up of a small lumps of rock with cracks and crevices. Okay, it is made up of small lumps of rocks with crack and crevices. Lakshman, can you understand? Huh? Just remember, the topsoil is full of humus, it has minerals, makes the soil fertile and it provides nutrition to the plants. And the middle layer, which also can be called as the B horizon, okay, it provides lesser humus but it has rich in minerals and the layer of this soil is hard. Okay, then when we are talking about the depth, if we are going more below, okay, then we can find the third layer, and this third layer is called the C horizon. Clear? And it has of small lumps of rocks with crack and crevices. Clear? Can you find differences among this, the soil profile, the profile of the soils? Yes, we have the differences of the soil. Clear? And slowly what we can find it? We can find the different composition which is present in the soil. It is not made up of same thing. Right? It is made up of different compositions. Like our body is also made up of different compositions. The compositions which we have in our eyes connecting with different parts, it is not similar to the connecting of other organisms. Right? We have large intestine, we have small intestine. Right? Each part of our body functions differently. Right? Like in our hand we have got the fingers. Right? And it makes different than the finger of our toes. Right? Same in the position, the layers of the soil is also different from each other. Live in the same area, but they have some certain distinctions. Clear? So below this layer is called the bedrock, which is hard and difficult to dig with a spade. Okay. Below to the C horizon, below to the third layer, we have the bedrock. Okay. And it is hard and very difficult to dig with the help of the spade. You know spade? Okay. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, one thing I forgot to tell you. Do you know what is called porous?
Porous.
You have seen stones, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you bring a stone? Yeah, it is here one. Bring one more stone. Quick, faster. Lakshman is going fast, huh? Okay, can you find differences between these two stones?
Yes, sir.
What is the difference?
Small and big.
Okay, small and big, and else? Huh?
Yes.
Shape. And can you see that this stone carries some dot type, a hole type?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
So this is called porous.
sir. Porous.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And generally in rivers, in waters, you'll find this type of the porous in a stone. Okay. So what does it help for? Do you know? Generally what it happens is that this porous helps the living creatures to live here, to stay here. Okay. Many of the living creatures, the small creatures, they can stuck here. They can be inside of it. Okay. Now, like in the soil, okay, even in the soil we can find the porous. Okay, it helps the living creatures to live. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let's move on. Now let us look after the types of the soil. Okay. Now, generally, how many types of the soils can we find? Okay, before going with that, can you give me a definition of a soil? What is called soil? What is a soil? What is a soil? Now we have studied about the soil profile, right? Yes or no? Now tell me what is called soil. What is soil? Hmm? So what I said before, the rocks, I mean, before I say something that so before I said you that soil is formed by the breaking down of rocks by the actions of the wind, water and climate. That is because of the process of a weathering. Right. So we can say that a mixture of rock particles and humus is called soil. Okay. And the living organisms such as worms, okay, then we have plant roots, then we have the bacteria, okay. So these are the smaller, the important parts of any soil. Okay, these are the living creatures. Generally, the soil is classified on the basis of the proportion of the particles of various sizes. It is classified into the sizes, and so if soil contains greater portions of a big particles, it is called sandy soil.
Sandy soil.
Now what is called sandy soil? What is called sandy soil?
If soil contains
If it contains greater proportion of big particles. Okay, if it has a big particles, okay, if it has a big particles, then we can consider that as a sandy soil. And now when we say, like, if the proportions of fine particles is relatively higher, then it is clay soil. The another is the clay soil. Now what is called clay soil? What is present in the clay soil? Yeah, I know. So yes, so we can say that it has fine particles. Fine particles. Okay, and it has higher proportion. Clear? So if the amount of large and the fine particles is about the same, then the soil is called loamy. what is called loamy? If the amount of large and fine particle is about the same, large and the particles of the of what? Of the soil, okay, are same, then it is called loamy. Thus, soil can be classified into sandy, clay and loamy. Okay, so how many parts we can say? How many types we can say? How many types of soil do we have? Yes, we have 3. Okay, and what are that?
Sandy soil,
Yes, sandy soil, clay soil and loamy soil. I guess Lakshman is not understanding what I am saying. Huh?
That's
This